Hey everybody, Joe here. It is Friday the 6th, and Friday means that we are going to check out Lowe's. This is a Lowe's I haven't been to. This is in Tucson at Ina and Thornydale. And let's jump in and see what new things they have. I like to come to Lowe's on Friday because they are certainly stocked up for the weekend. They have a lot of things on the outside, so we'll start on the outside first. Then I thought we'd check out the clearance section inside, and then we'll take a look at everything else that they have on the inside. So let's jump in. So starting right off the bat, they have some pencil cactus for 30. And then they have an assortment of agaves. These are $31. Love the variegated version for 31. This is also an agave for 60. And then they have lots of hanging baskets of succulents. And these hanging baskets are going for 45. And they're a nice basket. This is, well, I thought it was metal, but it's plastic. But the bottom part is metal, so the bottom part is nice, but the hook is plastic. Probably doesn't make a difference, but the bottom part will definitely last a lot longer than the top part. And of course it has this, this is like a compressed cocoa, I think. Very, very nice. Then they have some false saguaros for 40. Some large barrel cactus for 40. Lots of the ponytail palms for 27. And the elephant bush, this is the rainbow elephant bush for 23. And then they have some jade for 23 as well. Now the elephant bush and the jade typically don't like temperatures much below 35 or so, so take that into consideration. They do have these pansies on sale too for 20, but depending on where you're at, these pansies are not going to live much longer. Some compact jades for 10. And then a variety of cactus for 11. Those on top are flower buds, and these just get covered with incredible flowers. And then here is a very drought-tolerant red yucca. These are really drought tolerant, and they're hardy to 0 degrees. So if you're someone that doesn't like to water, or you live in an area like Tucson that doesn't get a lot of water, these yuccas would do really, really well. Some blue chalk sticks for 10. And these require full sun and low water. And then they have some smaller yuccas for 11. They have a lot of geraniums. These individual packs of geraniums are $9. Geraniums typically like full sun, and they're cold hardy to about 32 degrees. They have a big variety of colors: red, pink, purple. So lots of choices from a geranium perspective. They have lots of petunias. These are $7 for the individual packs. And they have purple, pink, white, yellow, and then they have this larger pack. It's got kind of a mix of different things for 20. So you could take these and drop these right down into a permanent large pot that you have on hand, or you could certainly pick up one to drop this into. For $27, they also have another selection of pots. These are in black pots, so you could just use that as is. Very nice. And then for $3, these petunias are also $3. And then, of course, lots of pansies. And also the dianthus is $3. And then this is $10. That looks like we have some lavender for $11. The lavender is cold hardy to 10 degrees, and it does require full sun. And then they do have some oleanders. The oleanders are $28. Just keep in mind that every part of this plant is toxic, and these are hardy to 10 to 20 degrees. So they're very nice. They get very large. They got nice flowers, but just be careful of your little ones and your pets. And then they do have the bougainvillea for $30. Nice selection. And they have some climbing bougainvillea for $31. So that's the outside of the store. Let's go check and see what they have inside. We'll start with the clearance section. So the nice thing about Lowe's is they do have a clearance selection, and a viewer recommended that I start there, so that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Now, I'm in Tucson. Your clearance selection is going to look a little bit different, but this is the pricing, and you can really find some fantastic deals here. If you're looking at the annuals, you may struggle to get those back looking well, but anything that's a perennial, it may look rough this year, but it's going to look great next year. So if you want to pick up some perennials, this is the place to do it. I've done that many, many times. But something like a pansy, you can get a really good deal and you might get some life out of it, but just remember, pansies don't like heat, so there's not a lot of lifespan left with them. But you can also sometimes find some really good annuals too. So really recommend that you check out the clearance section at Lowe's. Again, there's the pricing. I have found that that's pretty standard pricing, at least in the local Lowe's here. So always start out in the clearance section and see if you can find some great deals. With that, let's see what they have on the rest of the inside of the store. I saw a lot of cool stuff packed up and ready for the weekend. So I love it when I come to Lowe's and they still haven't unpackaged things. This is agave for $31, but look at how healthy. So these have not been gone through yet, and you can pick out the one that's best for you. have some potted options. These are $30. Here's some different agaves. These are so new that they don't have a price on them yet. Donkey tail for $19. And then some cactus for $37. Again, these are the ones that get the really crazy blooms on them. They do have some nice, really cool pots. This is $13. And you know, if these succulents ever don't make it, you still have a pretty nice pot, so it's not a bad deal. Looks like these cactus are getting a little beat up by the sun. So some more yucca for $11. Donkey tail for $10. Lots of succulent choices for $10. These are always so pretty. Individual succulent plants for $7, and then potted succulents. These are $35. They have some really large golden barrels. These are $60. Love and Macella. These are $29. Nice yellow color. Still a lot of blooms to be had. They do have some mandevilla for $33. Nice potted hibiscus for $30. These hibiscus are cold hardy to around 30 to 40 degrees, so these are more considered a tropical, so you do want to be careful with these. If you live in an area that gets below 30 to 40 degrees, you're going to want to bring these inside. And I do typically overwinter mine here in Tucson in the garage. They'll lose all their leaves, and then in the spring I pull them out and they come back just as nice. They do have lots of potted petunia options for $17. And they have some potted geraniums. Now, the geraniums in a hanging basket for $25, you know, these aren't going to drape down, whereas the petunias will drape down in a hanging basket. So depending on, you know, the look that you're going for, just know that these geraniums are not going to bind down, but still very, very nice. Lots and lots of options of succulents in a pot for $27. Just goes on and on. And then I see some really cool leaves. Look at that. That is really cool. Look at the coloring on that. It's pretty awesome. I have to pick one of those up just for the coloring on those leaves. Again, these are $35. And then a little bit different style. This almost looks metal, but it's not. It's plastic. And these are $40. But look at how beautiful those are. They do have some nice desert roses for $31. Now, desert roses are not cold hardy at all. So when temperatures drop below 50, you're going to definitely want to bring these inside or protect them. And they'll typically go dormant, and you want to restrict the water. So do your homework if you decide to purchase a desert rose, also known as an adenium. Some more agaves for 28. These agaves are pretty cold hardy depending on where you live. I really like the colors on this. Very nice for $26. These are 30. This is 30. Excuse me. This is 26. Now, the flowers on these are incredible. I have some of these in the yard. These are $26. And they get rather large. They do require full sun. And they are cold hardy to 20 to 30 degrees. Beautiful. They have lots of green weed preventer for 38. And lots of color lilies. Lots of different colors. Still on the carts for the weekend. So very, very nice. Some bougainvilleas for 26. And again, some more hibiscus for 30. They have some little plumeras for 31. Again, these typically don't like cooler temperatures, so if you have a plumera, you're going to want to bring this indoors in your garage maybe when the temperatures typically drop into the 40s. Little different style of pots here of your succulents for 30. Some cactus gardens for 30. You could drop this down into one of your existing pots, or you could break this up. You're getting, looks like 7 cactus for $30, so not a bad deal. Some large pots of petunias for 20. And then we have this for 20. Love the colors. Such a different variety of colors. Good selection of daisies to select from for 12. Again, these daisies require full sun. And these are considered an annual. Typically like 6 hours plus of direct sun. And they like to be kept semi-moist. Some more potted petunias. And geraniums for 27. These geraniums don't look all that healthy, so be selective. Now this is really pretty. Look at that. Of course, I always find the amazing things that don't have a price tag. Now this is some ornamental grass for 21. And this is hardy to 20 degrees. some more carts ready for the weekend. These are 7. They don't look incredibly healthy, so be careful as you're picking those. These sun stars are 9, and they do require full sun. They have some potted roses for 20. Look at this pot. Let's see if I can find a price on that. And this is a succulent for $23. And like I said, it's a succulent, so ever don't make it, you still have a really cool pot, so not a bad deal. Now they do have these lilies for 15. But I'll caution you, these are a perennial, which is good. They'll come back every year. But the flowers that you see there is what you're going to get. So if you're going to buy these, I would get some that have not opened yet. If you buy the ones that are completely open, you know, you'll get a couple weeks out of the flowers, and then the flowers are going to die, and you're going to be stuck with the green until next year when the flowers come. So you just have to plan accordingly. Here's some larger roses for 25. I have some sweet pea shrubs for 23. These are hardy to 20 degrees. And they have some pink rock roses. These pink rock roses are 23. And they're hardy to 5 degrees. Some more lilies for 13. And again, lots of daisy selections to choose from. These daisies are 12. There's some nice lantana for 9. This requires full sun. I love these daisies. Those are really cool for $10. And the yellow also for $10. These are cold hardy to 32 degrees. Now here's some more dianthus, a little bit larger than what we saw earlier today. These are $8. And some really pretty snapdragons, my goodness. These are $8, require full sun. And it says that they're cold hardy. Now, these snapdragons typically come back every year. Although it does say it's an annual. So depending on where you live, they may or may not come back, depending on how cold you get. But I know here in Tucson, my snapdragons tend to spring back up in the spring. Here's some more agaves for 40. Asparagus fern for 29. Foxtail and asparagus ferns always look very similar to me. More roses for 25. Lots and lots of roses, so if you need to plant some roses, Lowe's has it going on for sure. And then for 35, this foundation
in the
hedge.
back where we put our orders. Renee pulled some stuff from
These are cold hardy to 0 to 10 degrees. So definitely makes for a nice hedge. Some large lantanas for 17. And for 30, we've got the Little Johns. I really love the flowers on these. Isn't that cool? Kind of reminds me of like fireworks. They have some boxwoods for 35. Now these make nice hedges and are hardy to 0 to -10, so and then they do have these on sale for $14. Pretty flowers. These are non-hardy below 32 degrees, so take that into consideration, but very nice. Now they do have these Fortnite lilies. These are $33, and they're cold hardy to 15 to 20 degrees. And on sale for $14 are these sun dances. Those pretty yellow flowers. Here's some jasmine for 23. These are cold hardy to 30 to 40 degrees. And we have some cupids for 27. Here's some society garlic. Not crazy about the smell, but they look cool for $11. And they do smell. I can smell them. Now this is considered a tropical. This New Zealand flax, and it's $17. Requires full sun and cold hardy to 10 degrees. It does say it's a tropical. Mundo grass for 11. Also cold hardy to -10 to a -20. Some candy top requires full sun, cold hardy to well below 0. So this is going to stick around for a while, and these are 10. And the French lavender is on sale, 2 for 10, normally 7. And this is a perennial. Again, this is lavender. Some more dianthus for 7. Loving these carts with things that are not unpacked yet. Some more lantana. Some big pots of petunias for 15. These smaller pots are 11. Very nice. And then they have some marigolds. These are 11. I really love the coloring of these. These are 27. Now, this makes for a nice ground cover. These are $6. Really like the coloring there. This is a tray for 20. Looks like you get 12 of these for $12.20. This is 12 for 20. Now this is Moses in a boat for 6. These are hardy to 20 to 30 degrees. And then I'm liking this English ivy for 6. Very nice. And then they have these little asparagus ferns for $6. These are cold hardy to 32 degrees. Some big pots of geraniums, 27. And again, lots of petunias. These are $3 a piece. So they've really got it going from a petunia perspective. These are $3 a piece. Some more lantana options, great coloring. Consider it an annual for $12. Lantana here in Tucson tends to come back every year though. Now these geraniums look really, really healthy. These are $10 a piece. And they have this really vibrant, look at that. Really bright, vibrant colors. Some more hanging baskets with petunias for 25. They do have 6 packs of petunias for 13. And then yesterday in one of my videos, I showed one of my spider plants. It's huge with just hundreds of babies. They have some spider plants here. These are hanging baskets for 25. And the plant itself won't vine down, but the babies will absolutely vine down and look really cool. So if you haven't tried a spider plant, I would encourage you to do so. They like part sun, and they're hardy to 32 degrees. Here in Tucson, I just cover mine with some moving blankets, and they tend to stay outside year-round. And then I like these individual pots of petunias for 15. And then they have some mixed potted flowers again for 27. And those nice black pots. So those would look great on your back patio, your front porch, or anywhere you see fit. These have really beautiful flowers. This is an upright perennial. Requires low water, hardy to 10 degrees below zero. So, very nice. Some more roses already in full bloom. Look at that. These are $25. These are always so cool. Black rose, it's called, for $10, full to part sun, hardy to 35 degrees. And they have these climbers here. Yellow ladybanks for $17, a climbing rose, hardy to 0 to 10 degrees. Very nice. They have some really large ponytail palms for 30. Look at how big the base of that is. Pretty impressive. So I noticed that there's a bunch of carts towards the back of the store. I Let's wander back there and see what they're getting ready to sneak in for the weekend. So in the back of the store here, here's the cool stuff that they're getting ready to unload. These are hanging baskets of African daisies for $25. This is a ground cover that's in a hanging basket, also for $25. And then they have lots of these coming in for $13. I have them standing on my tippy toes here. So these are the sun stars. Snapdragons for $3. Lots of petunias, individual petunias for $3. And then these, again, you can just drop right into your existing pots like they're showing there on the tag. These require full sun and are $20. And $20 for the potted petunias. These are pretty. Pincushion flower for $10. Cold hardy. So very nice. Now, I did a video, I think it was the day before yesterday, on this particular geranium. Only the one that I did a video on, it's huge, it's gigantic. If you didn't see that, take a look back. You won't believe how big it is. But this is a Martha Washington geranium, and it's $10. Again, really cool flowers. They have some of these very large yellow ladybanks for $35. And they have lots of geraniums. These are $8 a piece. So always look in the back of the store for the stuff that they haven't unloaded yet. You'll get the first pick. Now look at this Oklahoma redbud tree. Look at the flowers on that. Now this is $89 and it requires full sun. Blooms early spring, hardy to -10. Grows to 15 feet tall. That's really beautiful. Not sure what it looks like without its blooms, but right now, it's looking pretty darn good. Love it. Here are some large foxtail ferns. These are $64. And these like partial sun. It blooms in the spring. I'll say the blooms are not all that fantastic. And it's cold hardy to 20 to 30 degrees, typically zones 9 through 11. Now, I did grow these in Kentucky. I did have to bring them in the wintertime. But these really like, I would say, more shade than sun, especially here in Tucson. But I just really love these foxtail ferns. Now they do have some nice pots. These look to be concrete, and these are $40. And then they have this Avondale lattice planter for $30. This is more of a, definitely a plastic. And then these, if you're looking for a colorful pot, are really nice. Fortunately, these do not have a price tag. So you'll have to check the pricing at your local store since these are not priced. And then they have a really large pot. This would be rather heavy for $150. I think you can probably do better than that on your own. And then, of course, Lowe's has a big selection of fruit trees. These are $47. These are lemon. But they have your typical lime and orange. Get these little packs of orange trees for $24. And some of these already have fruit hanging off of them, so you can get a tree and some fruit at the same time. Some big potted mandevilla for $29. So this Lowe's store has a nice selection. They are packed up and ready to go for the weekend. Definitely get out to your local Lowe's and see what they have to offer. Every location I have found is kind of its own little mini culture. Every Lowe's I go to is just set up a little bit differently and sometimes has a little bit different selection of plants. I'm still not seeing a lot of Gerber daisies at this Lowe's at all, and definitely not seeing any vinca. So I'm anxious for those to become a little bit more readily available. I was at a Home Depot earlier today and they had some large pots of Gerber daisies, but I'm looking for small. And I will be doing a different Home Depot tomorrow. So I think this is going to wrap this up. Please, if you enjoy this, please subscribe. It helps out my small channel. And if you have any ideas or recommendations, drop those in the comments. Would love to hear from you. And thanks for joining. Happy planting this weekend. And be sure to watch for the Home Depot video tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.